essentially I could have, an extra 1,000 to 2,000 valid email addresses per category per day. And I actually exported all of my data out of my CRM for just a breakdown of where all the sales came from.
Okay.
So yeah, so I got a nice little breakdown. About 30% is coming from SEO, and just our work. We had restaurant partner. We had a lot of partnership organizations the year that this ran, and one of them was through Tate's List, which just kind of was a community for restaurant owners. We also kind of get the same too through there's a startup out of San Francisco called Town Squared, and so it's just a social network exclusively for business owners. So they approached us last spring before they launched here in this market, and they were just like, hey, can you guys contribute to our blog and our community and everything? So we ended up getting a lot of leads and a lot of introductions through there. But the other thing is that see here, as far as word of mouth, and referrals and everything else, that makes up about another 30% from our existing client base. And so as far as email solicitation, 16.2% of our revenue comes.
Email solicitation means exactly what?
Well, that's a cold email that we sent out. And so about 16% of our business came from cold emails.
Okay, that's interesting. I would like to dive into that in a second. Just to complete it, I see 30% SEO, 30% referrals, 16% the cold emails, and then there's something like 15% missing. 16%.
Yeah, there's a big mix of cold calling. Craigslist will reply to anybody looking for various services on Craigslist. Thumbtack will also reply on their employee referrals. Door-to-door actually does work for us occasionally when things are a little bit slow. I'll either go out myself or send some of my sales guys out just to meet the businesses around, just have a conversation and kind of just keep that conversation going. Networking, about 10% is coming from networking and events. I spoke at the Seattle Small Business Expo. We do the young professionals meetups and cigars and startups and things like that. So just kind of being out in the community and everything is, a good way to make sure that you got to be, actually involved in the community as opposed to, just involved in the digital community, because there's a crossover. In order to actually get those good links and those good referral links, especially, you need to know the people who have control of those websites and actually have a personal interaction with them. So it's kind of about throwing a very wide net and not just relying on your inbound content marketing funnel.
It does make sense, yeah. The young professionals, may I ask, how old are you?
I'm 29.
29, oh. How big is your team now?
36.
36 employees.
Yeah.
That's quite a size. How long have you been in business?
Since 2012, and and so in this phase of the business since 2014.
There must have been some incredible growth. I mean, 5 years is still a short time for that.
Mm-hmm.
And is that the ratio of the leads that you said right now? Is that roughly how it was before, or did it evolve over time? What did you do to kickstart the business?
Yeah. So basically, we invented a new business model for marketing agencies so that we can specifically serve local small businesses. I spent the recession here in Seattle selling TV ads, selling newspaper ads, working with daily deal companies. And so I met about 1,000 local small business owners, and they all had a similar problem where there was no agency that was all-inclusive and could hit the price point that they needed. So we built a new business model. I pitched it to those people that I had initially talked to, but I was the one, hitting the streets for those other companies before meeting with those people. So I had a pretty well-established initial network of people who I knew had this need, and then they in turn had friends as well.
All right, that's already very comprehensive. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll give you a little history with the cold emails. I mean, that's how I used to do it when I was selling TV ads and print and daily deals. Back in those days, I would send about 50 to 100 emails to book an appointment. And a lot of that I was just kind of scrolling through Yelp and trying to find people that matched the description of what we're looking for. When I started my marketing agency, we were getting about one appointment booked for every 25 emails I was sending out. And then that had a 50% close rate. So we would sign half of anybody I would sit down with. But that 25% return, either because of just oversaturation, again, that was 2012 when we were just getting started, and it was to an existing group of about 1,000 people that I had already had some contact with. Since then, we pretty much signed everybody who's going to sign, from my old network. A lot of them have gone out of business or moved out of state, and then the rest that would sign have signed. So we're dealing essentially with a new pool. And I noticed it become less and less in 20, I would say 14, we would send out 100 to 150 emails to book an appointment. But again, keep in mind we're dealing with a local geography.
Per day?
So it would depend. If we were a little bit slow, I'd send out a bunch of emails and if you're busy, I'd forget about it for a couple of months and not even bother. So I have a bit of a traditional sales structure first, and then our inbound content marketing funnel was built kind of after the fact. Again, the biggest thing for us was being able to say, hey, we're local here in Seattle. We can meet in person. All of our team is local. We had a bunch of good selling points for that. So kind of long story short, now where we're at is about 80% of our leads are coming in through the website, through our content marketing funnel. But we're still pushing for kind of, outbound strategies, because we know that, maybe 20% of people who can use our services are actually looking for our services online. So we want to make sure that we're getting out there, especially in person. So we kind of made a little decision that I was going to say, okay, I'm going to train my little brother to see if he can do this. And so he and I have been managing our outbound sales, and he's a good kid and understands what we do and everything. But we decided, okay, well, let's take this to the next level. Let's start to automate our email collection and strategy, A/B split test everything. And so we built a crawler, and you're going to have to edit out what this crawler actually does, but it essentially crawls for any category that we want, and then gives us all of the contact information in Excel list for any category. It works within about 5 minutes. And then we run a second crawler on that goes to each of those individual websites, searches those individual websites for an email address, and pops it back in. Essentially, I could have an extra 1,000 to 2,000 valid email addresses per category per day. And so we've been running tests with that, in batches of about 200 with A/B split testing. And it's something that we're working on, just refining to figure out, okay, what's the best hook. Later this week, we're actually going to try something a little unique. He and I grew up in a small town out here that became a little bit bigger due to commuters from Microsoft. It's called North Bend. When we were kids, it was maybe 10 to 15,000 people. Now it's about 80,000 people, and so but they're very local, and they don't like people coming in from Seattle telling them how things are done. So we said, okay, let's do like a video, and a YouTube video. We'll send people the link, be like, hey, I'm with Marketeering Group. My brother founded the company. We're both from North Bend. We'd love to work with, our old hometown businesses. And so we're going to see how that works, next week, because we noticed that when you're talking to people in North Bend and you tell them you're from there originally, they open up a lot more. But, in every different way, it's about finding that personal connection.
How do you get the email addresses from when you visited the website that you crawled?
Yeah, there's a tool called Advanced Email Scraper. It's an open source tool that you could put on any server, and you can customize that for specific commands. It just automates. It's one of those things where there are some gray areas. As far as how can you collect emails? Well, if the email is publicly available on the website, you can email them. That's the bottom line of the law, right? So. This just, is a tool to collect what's publicly available faster.
What is something that you tried that definitely worked with a reliable chance, just like earlier? Because you said you're still doing it.
Yeah, actually. So the best thing that we've tried that really works is I wrote a blog post last year about this time that was 16 marketing tips for, fitness marketing that you should do in 2016. It was about 4,000 words. And I wrote it in order to prove to them that, hey, we're the experts, in fitness marketing. And, we sent that out to in every gym and fitness center in, a 30, 40-mile radius. And we ended up getting about, 20% response rate and about a 20% response rate, and probably once every, 1 out of 30 emails we sent, we'd actually get a meeting from them. So what that did specifically was it said that we were an authority on a particular topic, and that topic relates directly to them, and here's some free information. Mm-hmm. So that strategy definitely worked. Again, we really only exercised it, this time last year. But the result was it now organically ranks as one of the highest converting pages on our site, and also one of the highest pages or search results for fitness marketing.
I don't know if you want to share the sequence, or if you still have it, or if you maybe explain it.
Yeah, basically it starts off with saying like, hey, we'd love to meet to talk about what you're doing. We're working with a lot of fitness companies, and at the very least can give you some ideas and direction of what you can do. Like, there's nothing to lose. So that was kind of the format that worked best was, hey, here's some free information, it's free consulting, we're experts, nothing to lose in this. So, yeah.
How many emails did you send in the sequence?
Probably about 400 total.
No, okay, I mean like for one recipient, how many sequential emails did you send out?
We would send it once every 2 weeks for 6 weeks if we didn't get a reply. We would have different variations, yeah.
So 3 emails.
Right.
Okay, that's exciting. So you're really in the cold email game. I love that.
Well, again, it's kind of where I started, and it's what I know the best. And I figure if we can't articulate our message in an email, in something that somebody would actually read, then we don't understand our own message well enough. And so I do think it's important. And, sometimes I even believe in even just like as a training or like an exercise. My first job in college was telemarketing. I was the one-person intern telemarketer for an enterprise software company that was reselling like Microsoft Dynamics. Mm-hmm. And, I would have to make 40 calls a day. Well, when you have to do that, you get pretty good at refining your messaging and understanding exactly what resonates. And you can almost feel that across the phone line with somebody that, oh, hey, this wording resonates with, this particular audience. Because you find that consistency, across. So I think that learning how to communicate your messaging in a short email that actually hooks people is really important for actually understanding who you are and what you do. But am I ever going to think it's going to make more than 20% of our sales? Probably not. But that 20%, but that 20% is important, It's 20% of my revenue. So might as well keep on doing, what's bringing in a contribution.
Definitely. And it works perfectly when you don't have SEO yet.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Back in the early days, right?
Are there other things that that work? That let's say you need some clients and some time you need clients, and you know how to get them with a systematic, reliable approach. You said cold email and you said door to door. Is there anything else that works that you could kind of switch on to get new clients?
The biggest thing is just having, a lot of fishing poles in the water. Making sure that we don't become too dependent on any one vertical or method. Because the minute that happens, that's why we have so many, email is just a small part, networking, referrals, incentivizing referrals. Right now we're expanding in the Portland market almost exclusively through partnering with industry, industry communities, really. And so, we're working with a restaurant community industry or industry community, and we're working with a cannabis group of companies as well. And so we're kind of moving to the idea that it's more about strategic partnerships. And that idea kind of came out of the idea of growth hacking. Right. Yeah. And was it Neil Patel that was a co-author of that? I feel like he might have been put that. I have it right here somewhere. Oh, no. Hang on. Ryan Holiday.
Growth Hacker. Yeah, Ryan Holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Right. And so, they're talking about, leveraging existing communities, right? Well, small business owners don't necessarily have too good of existing communities online. They do, they're LinkedIn groups. We control the Seattle Small Business Owners Facebook group. We have a website specifically dedicated to small business owners, news and things that are relevant to them. But nothing really beats these existing organizations. We'll give you an example like Master Builders Association, right? They meet once a month. It's like if you want to be a trusted, plumber, in Washington State, you have to be a member of the Master Builders Association. So creating, alignment of interest there. And it's an event that people actually go to and trust. And if we're like, oh yeah, we're managing things for the Master Builders Association, then they're like, oh, okay, well, let's talk. And having that alignment of interest. And it's even better, if I get Kathy from the MBA to say, oh, hey, Richard, I want to introduce you to Danny. He does our marketing. You guys should really talk. And so that's really what we're doing in Portland in the cannabis and the restaurant industries over there, because it's worked so well here with different verticals as well. So just making sure that that's always, a fishing line that's out there.
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah, thanks for the info. Just because I forgot this one question about cold email, what tool do you use to send them out?
Typically, so I try to have them just be done through Gmail for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm concerned about the legality of using mass email sender, right? So we have scripts where we could run email templates for groups of businesses, and also we can combine that with the HubSpot email tool, so we could check and see, and know when people are actually opening those emails as well. So just using Gmail with the HubSpot extension works well for us. It also allows us to customize things so that if we do know the business owner's name or can say something personal, we could do that as well. Yeah. In the past, we've used email marketing services to do that, but we've moved away for that because of the legality questionability.
Yeah. Okay. Well, interesting. I mean, it's just Gmail, right? It works with any script. If it's a SaaS behind it for easy management, if you take a script, it doesn't really matter. Okay. Well, good to know.
Yeah, and we're experimenting around with Zoho campaigns too, because that's our CRM. I mean, it's not the best, but it's not like Salesforce where I have to pay for it all 1 year up front.